Honestly, my parents signed that contract that I had to go. Yeah, it was the most important step of my career. You look like an idiot. That was the reason why I didn't go to Barcelona and I went then to Magdeburg. I had also an offer from Kiel at that time. They wanted me as a central player, not as a wing anymore. No regrets in my career.
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start!
Yeah, into the net.
She does it again.
Yes, and Magdeburg are the champions of Europe. To come up with something here. She has a game. Surprise the keeper. What a comeback!
And it's time to begin to look a lot like Christmas and to talk handball again, ladies and gentlemen. And today we thought of something very, very special for you guys. Not just myself, but of course the Danish Dynamite is with me as well. Martin Vilstrup, how's it going?
It's going good, thank you. I'm especially looking forward to this episode, with our special guest it's meant in a very, very good way. He's always been a character and someone that everybody looked at, and I admire it in some way that he was capable of doing it in his own way, and I think that's also what made him so far, but probably not in the way that most professional handball player do or did. But he's one of a kind, and then by that I mean it in a special and a good way. So I'm super good. I'm looking forward to today's interview.
What's one thing that you are hoping to get to know about Stefan Kretzschmar from today's interview?
I've been thinking about it because I also did some extra research about this interview, and or maybe just because he played in Germany throughout his whole career, and today in modern handball you see a lot of players not only staying in their own country, and they're going abroad. So maybe knowing if he had the opportunity to go somewhere else, or if he, not that he wanted to, but just as long as maybe he could, if he wanted to.
All right, then I would almost say let's not make the German legend wait for too long, and let's introduce him. Well, I'm almost intimidated to invite you and welcome you to this podcast here, because you are one of the number one personalities in German handball of all time. That is probably not too big to announce you, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Stefan Kretzschmar, how's it going?
Hey, good evening. It's fine. It's good. It's nearly Christmas, so yeah. So we have a good time and are in preparation for the days. Everything good.
That sounds great. So just for transparency here, we are recording mid of November, but the episode is probably just being released to Christmas. I dressed up properly already in my ugly Christmas sweater. But yeah, it is great that you are around here as well. When was the last time that you have been talking English for like 40, 45 minutes?
It was with you guys. So I think it was the last episode when I was invited with you guys. But okay, I have also a few players in my team who still prefer to speak English when it is important. So I'm quite familiar to speak a little English.
Who are those players?
The Danish players, of course, they're a little lazy to learn German, so they prefer speaking English when we meet and have a personal conversation.
Yeah, fair enough. But let's start it off here with a little more talks about you here. Not the easiest question to go in there, but I wrote down some names that you had throughout your career. Punk, egoistic, a rebel, a rock star, just some of the names that you were given throughout your entire career. How much of these names is still in Stefan Kretzschmar?
I think it's always connected to the stage and the time of your career you are. I think as a young guy, you have to be a little egoistic. So I think to improve your own career, to your own life. As you're getting older, you understand more that the team is more important, that you bring that more into your life and put the ego a little bit back. So especially when I played national team, I learned that from the older guys. And now when you run a club, when you work as a sports director, there's no ego left. So you have to have a lot of conversation with the players. You have to be really social. You have to be really polite, and the time changes. So the old times of handball, where you have a head coach who decided everything, and you had no conversation with the players at all, just in practice, they are over. So everybody wants to be involved now in the team. So everybody needs conversations. Everybody wants to have a coffee. So the players are different, the times are different, and so am I. And I think from the old ego and from the old Kretzschmar as a player, there's not so much left. Just, I think how can I say, the competition is still left. So to want to compete, want to be the best, so the drive to improve, that is still the same.
There's one interesting thing that you actually just said. When you're younger, you need to be a little more egoistic. Is that an advice that you bring to your young players as well?
Yes, you have to, because of course we play a team sport, but at the end you just become a world-class player when you think about yourself, when you improve your game, when you improve your individual qualities. So, and then you have to take your shots, you have to take your chances. If you don't, if you are just a team player from the beginning of your career, nobody will recognize you, nobody will see you. So, of course, you have to have some individual drive, improving yourself, showing up yourself. Being the best on your position means being egoistic and take your shots, take your chances. If you miss your chances, you will never get seen, or you will never get some views and never get attention. So watch out for your own attention and bring yourself in the spotlight. And therefore you have to be egoistic. I think so.
I mean, first of all, thank you, Stefan, for joining us. And you and Bengt could probably talk along all day, but I'm interrupting here also to put in some questions here. I'm a little bit surprised that the Danish players, they don't speak German that well and prefer the English, because you actually learn the German in the Danish school. I remember myself, I was not the best in the school, but once I been in Germany and, had to speak it, then you learn it a little bit faster. And also communicating on the field when you're playing, I guess that's in German mostly.
Yeah, I have to be fair. So they can speak German. Lasse Andersen and also Kitzel, so they speak German and they can do that. But if it's get tough, if it comes to business, if it comes to personal conversations, we prefer speaking English. You don't make mistakes and just have a easy and relaxed conversation in that language. We both are then more familiar and they feel more comfortable in a personal conversation. When we have a conversation with the team, of course they speak German. That is for sure.
But I also wanted to ask you: do you? There's been Bengt said it as well. There's been a lot of people that want to, put some names to you, calling you a rebel, the punk guy, or whatever. You were a character. Do you ever think in some way it was a little bit of a disadvantage that somebody else looked at you in a certain way and maybe wanted you to look in a specific way? Because I, respect, and that maybe also because you are one of the characters, that you were always your own.
No, it was always an advantage. It never was a disadvantage. So the character that I had allowed me to live a life in freedom because everybody thought I'm a bad guy. So when I went out at night, nobody tried to interrupt me or to stop me or something like that. And at least when it came out that I went out last night, everybody said, okay, this is a guy, look how he looks like. So it's no surprise that he went out. So it was never a big thing when stuff like that came out. And I have to tell you that when I was young, I was a real shy guy. So with fears, and I was nervous and small, and the image what gave me then, what I gave myself with the tattoos and with the hair colors, it gave me like a second skin. So I felt safe in that image and in that second skin. And I thought, okay, everybody think now that you are probably a bad guy. And then I felt better. I felt safe. It was not that I was that guy because friends and people who know me good at that time and who were really close, they know me better. So I was never that guy. I was never that rebel privately, but as a public image, it was, for me, it was perfect. Not just from a commercial standpoint, also from a standpoint how I feel safe. And that was the reason why I did that also, because we have that phenomenon now in the team with soft players, with players who have some doubts. So they create a second skin. They just look cool. They act cool. They do that. I can give you some examples, but I will not do that because I will not drop any names about that. But I know that kind of guys, they act like that. But deep inside, they are not. They are totally unsafe and insecure. But they do that to survive in the world of professional men's handball. That helped them. And the same happened with me.
I'm interested in the younger version of Stefan Kretzschmar here. Maybe let's look over at your start in Magdeburg back in the days. So the team that was around you was surely something special with Abati, Bennett Wiegert, Olafur Stefansson, Henning Fritz, all these kind of names. Was there anybody out of that team coming close to your, well, like you said, facade of the player that you have been, to that level of craziness?
No, of course not. So, and when I arrived in Magdeburg in '96, then I was not welcomed by everybody. The person that I was, the guy that I was, the image that I had, because Magdeburg was a working class club, so it was known for hard work and was known for a committed team, down to earth, really hard working club for all the years. And then I came. So and then they signed the superstar of the sport at that time. Not everybody liked that. And also the following years, I was not the how can I say that? The star of the fans and the most loved player of the history of SC Magdeburg. That was more Joel Abati. He was the guy who was really loved by everybody in Magdeburg. That was Kuleshov. He was loved by everybody. And Stefansson. So they were the guys where the fans in Magdeburg really loved. So I was more the crazy guy who was respected, and they liked it that I was a part of the team, but I was not that loved than anybody else, because I was the guy who did the crazy stuff and not the guy who put all the work in the team and had the image of what Magdeburg players had to have at that time. So it was not easy. My beginning at all was not easy, because when I went to Magdeburg, I chose to live in Berlin, and they didn't like that at all. So I chose to have an apartment in Berlin, living there and driving every day back and forth to the practice and coming back to Berlin. I changed that after a few months because it was not possible as a professional way.
How far is the distance?
But no, it's about 2 hours, so 1.5 hours drive, so it's not so close. Yeah, but then with the years, I got more friends also in Magdeburg, and it was a nice place to live. It was an amazing club, and we had a good group of guys together. Everybody was a different character. I think that was also the secret of the success who comes later on then.
Was more thinking about, you said you didn't have an easy start in Magdeburg. Did it help you then having the stop in Gummersbach before, where you also maybe had to convince people that, okay, I'm not just this rebel that looks like I do. I can also play handball, and also read an article where it actually helped when you started scoring a lot of goals, and he can also play handball and contribute to the team. Did that help you that you had to stop in Gummersbach before you made it to Magdeburg, that was, historical, bigger, and also had the history with them?
Yeah, it was the most important step of my career, just that 3 years in Gummersbach. I didn't want to go. So it was 93, I was 20 years old. So I made a decision with 19, and I came from Berlin, and I didn't want to leave Berlin. So especially not to Gummersbach. At that time, I want to go out. I want to enjoy the life in Berlin as a young guy, and it was an amazing time. The Iron Curtain were falling, 89. So that was a crazy time in Berlin, and I want to be part of that. But then the offer came from Gummersbach, and honestly, my parents signed that contract that I had to go to Gummersbach, and even if I didn't want, that was the best time that I could have as an athlete and also as a human being, because there was then all the focus just on handball, and we had a really amazing chemistry in Gummersbach. That was probably the best connected team what I ever played with. So we all were friends at that time, in that 3 years in Gummersbach, and we had a good group of guys. Not that successful, but for me personally, for my development was perfect, because from the first moment on, I got the trust of the coach. So he really believed in me and gave me the chance as a young guy. I became a national player 1 year later. So also the coach of the national team believed in me when I was really young. And so I had a lot of supporters at that time. So that helped me growing and also becoming a good player. And I could develop myself in a club like Gummersbach at that time, what was not a top club at that time. So if I made mistakes, I just played. So they didn't change me. So I got all the confidence and trust from the club, from the coaches, from the team. For me personally, also as an advice to younger players, it was a perfect step. So I got game time, and that was important for that stage of my career.
It's always a difficult talk about, trust is always good, and also, having someone that trusts in you so you can make mistakes. And then you often hear about in handball that somebody are part of a team where they train a lot, but they don't play that much. And for other players, it's more important, to get the playing time and be in an environment where they can make mistakes and try it themselves, being in a training culture. For, let's take Füchse Berlin as an example, that maybe the younger players there, they get to train with the best in the world and a top team in Germany, but maybe for 1 or 2, it's better for them to be somewhere else and then get the playing time. It's a hard fine balance, and also as a player, what fits individual the best. But now we also been speaking a lot about your career, Gummersbach, and staying in Berlin. I was wondering, is there anything throughout your career that you really wanted to do? Was there any hunger in you that wanted to go to play somewhere else that you didn't do, that you wish that maybe you have done it without having in mind that I don't want to leave Magdeburg because it's a nice place to be and we have a great team? But if we don't think about that, was there any dreams about playing abroad, or or was it too stuck with being in Germany and close to Berlin?
Good question. Finally, everything went the perfect way. So no regrets in my career. Starting in Berlin, going to Gummersbach, and moving to Magdeburg then. So, and playing 11 years for that amazing club was great. When I was young, so I think at the age of 23, I had an offer or a conversation with Barcelona. What was also at that time the biggest club in the world, still is, and I think every handball player has a dream playing for Barcelona. So that is biggest club in our sport. But the coach was Valero Rivera, and he was a really strict coach who rules the club like military. So you had to shave yourself every day. No long hair was allowed. So he told me, Kretzschmar, you're a really good talent. You are a big player. So I really would like to sign you, but I cannot. You look like an idiot. You had tattoos, you had piercings. So with that culture that we have here in Barcelona, I cannot sign you, even if I like your way of playing handball, but I cannot sign you. And that was the reason why I didn't go to Barcelona, and I went then to Magdeburg, because his way of running the club was different. And then when I was older, 31, something like that, I had an offer again from Barcelona, but then I was too old. I had also an offer from Kiel at that time. They wanted me as a central player and not as a wing anymore. But then I had to choose. Okay, now my career comes to an end. So what should I do? Should I change the club again, or should I sign a contract prolonging in Magdeburg,
Yeah.
and also then a contract as a sports director of Magdeburg on top? So I preferred the safe way, staying in Magdeburg then, and signing for 3 more years and also job as a sports director. So that, but I never regret that. But yeah, the Barcelona stuff. So that was a little crazy.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the real successful years in Magdeburg, they actually started around the 1999 time when you won against Valladolid in the back then EHF Cup. It was the predecessor of the European League. It was a very meaningful title for Magdeburg as well, because it was the first international trophy in almost 20 years. Was it a meaningful one for you as well?
Of course it was. So if you live in Magdeburg, if you ever have experienced the passion of the people, of the fans, then you know that that is meaningful. Then you know that every title is meaningful. We didn't celebrate that much, like the German championship then later on, or like the Champions League, but we celebrate that, and it was. I think it was the first title for the club, first international title. So also you can see the development of the club. You know, when I came '96, of course Magdeburg was a serious team, but the manager of the club, he had a vision. So he wanted to build a new arena, a big one, and everybody said, "Okay, that's too big. That is crazy. He's an idiot. He cannot do that." You know, because before we played in the arena, where fit 2,500 people in. Okay, it was sold out every game, but we never believed that we can fill an arena of 7,500 people in the middle of the 90s. But he had that vision. He built that arena, and he said, "Okay, if I do that, and if I want to fill that arena, I need the biggest star that we have now in Germany. And okay, let's go for Kretschmar. Let's bring him to the club and bring the kids also to the arena and everything." And he did that. And then we saw the development of the club. He brought another player. He brought Kervadek. He brought Abati. So it was also strategical, really good connected team and signed team by smart players. Also, we had the money at that time in Magdeburg. And so you can see, okay, the division went in the right direction. And the first international title was, of course, important for us to move on that way, becoming probably one of the best teams in Europe then in the upcoming years.
And you, especially yourself, you did play in a lot of great teams. That Gummersbach squad that you were in, that Magdeburg squad that we already talked a little bit about, several Germany squads that you joined there. Especially from your perspective, I'm super interested because many might even have seen you as a distraction in those squads. Where would you say was the team chemistry the best?
It was really Gummersbach. So that was from a team of a club competition, really the best chemistry. We were not so successful, that's right, but we had a really good chemistry. But that has to do also, we were a really young team, and half of the team was single. So, so we didn't had a we were not married at that time, really early in our career. So we went out a lot. We had really a lot of fun together beside handball, and that was the time without social media, without cameras on the mobile phone, without mobile phone even. So there were no mobile phones at that time. So that was really a tough chemistry, good chemistry, and I have to say the German national team. So that was also a tough chemistry. Our generation, I think we were all friends. We really enjoyed our time together when we met with the national team. That was a really big and strong bond of players and friends in that generation where I played.
Yeah, and I mean, you almost needed to rely on Icelandic commentators who are cousins with Alfred Gislason to get the inside stories out.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
back in those
right.
days. But yeah, actually, you transferred from Gummersbach to Magdeburg, who were rivals at that time. You worked for Leipzig. Now you are at Füchse Berlin. Were rivalries ever in your mind when choosing your next employer, or were you just like, oh well, I love Eastern Germany, I'm gonna go over there?
Not rivalries, but emotions. So I could not play for a team or work for a club without emotions, because then I'm not real and then I'm not really into it. So, and to be successful, I need to be really into it. So I need to have a full focus and full commitment. And of course, the biggest teams when I grew up were Gummersbach in the western part and Magdeburg in the eastern part. So they were the biggest teams with the biggest tradition. And of course, it was a dream as a kid to play for them. And I did that for Gummersbach and also for Magdeburg. Then I went to Leipzig, and I was born in Leipzig. So I have an emotional relationship also to that city, where I spent the first 4 years of my life. I cannot really remember, but but it was obviously a really important time. And then I went to Berlin, went to school here. I spent half of my life here in that city, and the club where everything started in my career, where I went to school, where I grew up, that is the same club where I work now as a sports director. It's not the same club because in the eastern part it was Dynamo Berlin, but the school where I went, that is the center where Füchse Town now is. So it's the same location where we train now as Füchse Berlin, where I trained when I was 14 years old. So the circle is closing, and of course, emotional relationships are important to do my job.
I may be changing the subject here a little bit, but eating canned food, fried potatoes, gaming, and staying up late, how does that sound for you as a pro handball player?
Yeah, probably it will not fit, but my career doesn't fit to so many things. What is what is going on now, or what I would explain as a sports director now to my players. You know, if I try to discipline them, I'm really the wrong guy to do that, because everybody of them, even if they are much more younger, saw the documentary now. And if, for example, they would go out and I would say next day, what is wrong with you? They would look at me and they would say, I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, you know what? So but I also would never do that. No, I had a different lifestyle. I had, also a crazy lifestyle. I was a guy who lived at night and slept at day. So, but sometimes I ask myself how my body could do that at that time. So how I was as a, I don't know, biological wonder to do all of that. Um, and it is like it is. So I had a really bad feeling next day after I went out, and that bad feeling drove me to do better. So it is crazy to think like that, but I sometimes I needed that to really went on my optimum, on my 100%, that I had a bad feeling. Okay, I went out last night. It was bad. It was not good for the team. So let's give everything now what I have on the floor to win the game. And it worked. It worked so often. So I don't know. It's not. I'm not a role model in that case. I will say that to the young guys. I'm not the what you call a super professional guy. I never was that in my life. but I was a good player, and I had a different lifestyle as a professional.
But also, on the other hand, you can say that you experienced both sides of it. So you also experienced how you did it back when you were playing and how it is now. But going back to eating canned food and stuff like that, do you see yourself as a master chef, as a really good cook in the kitchen?
What is a cook? I mean, I'm a
question.
good. I'm really good in warming up. So in warming up food. So when it comes to pizza or pasta or something like that, I'm really good in that if it is already prepared. So I just warm it up and then I add it. But it was neither healthy, not I don't know how you call it, but I was never a cook. So I don't think.
What would you make if you had to impress someone? What would be the go-to dish if you had to make something? Because I heard some
It depends.
rumors about a Kretzschmar specialty, pasta specialty, also a Kretzschmar specialty about pasta.
Yes. Yes, my daughter, she knows that about my special creativity in the pasta. But everybody felt bad after that. It tasted amazing, but everybody of the family had to go to the toilet after the dinner if I made that. So it was good. Everybody liked it, but afterwards, okay, it was not so easy. No, it depends on who I want to impress. So if you want to impress somebody special after a night, I'm a really good guy in scrambled eggs. So I'm really creative in scrambled eggs in the morning. So that is what I really can do. Everything what I find in the fridge, I do inside, and I create something amazing. So there I'm good. I'm good in creativity. But when it comes to preparing something delicious, probably a salad. I can do a salad, a good salad, but that's it.
Well, what is for sure is that you are impressing since 15 years with your handball knowledge as a TV expert. And I was actually wondering, because it was 2009 when you started for the German television station Sport 1. Back in the day, it probably still was DSF. Yeah, then if we look at your retirement in 2007, it has only been like a year and a half or something like that, that you were away from handball. Where was that drive coming from to almost immediately start working in handball again?
You know, I had also a TV show when I played handball. It was on MTV. So, so I had that experience already, even if I didn't learn that or didn't went to school to being a host or a TV host, something like that. So they just gave me the opportunity to do that. And they didn't expect nothing, just being me. And we produced nearly 100 shows on MTV at that time, at the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. That was amazing, crazy time. I also made a radio show, breakfast radio show in Magdeburg. So we produced that also at that time, at the end of the 90s. So I had that experience already, and then they came with the offer, and that at that time it was just one game a week. So it was the game of the week in Germany, what they show on Sport 1, and they asked me if I could imagine being an expert. And I said, okay, of course. So it's just one game a week. So I have enough time to do that, and we can try. And you know, I like that. So it is all about entertainment. It's all about entertain the people, being a little different. So doing something in front of the camera never was a problem for me. Also, giving interviews or being part of some late night shows, so participate in that. I made a lot of experience with the media at my time when I was a player. So it was obviously that I can do that also after my career as an expert, and I liked it. So I liked the job. I still like it. I still love it to go to the arenas and talk about handball and talk with the players, talk with the coaches. So that is really amazing that I could choose a way of living and getting money for that and getting paid for that, what I really love. And I know that I'm really fortunate in that, but without being arrogant, I'm also talented in that. So I can do that. So it is the way how I do that. I think it's not the baddest way.
Yeah, and I mean, not just late night shows, but early mornings in the radio as well, if I'm informed here correctly, that you did host a show there. And all of that adding up to a fairly intense career that you had. Was there ever a point where the person, Stefan Kretzschmar, said, "Ooh, this is getting a lot, I might need a break"?
No, the others thought that always. I mean, that is the problem also of the Germans, and also of the fans and everybody, the whole surroundings. So if you play good, if the team wins, then everything is welcome. Then everything is good. And look how he is. He's amazing. He made an MTV show. He made a radio show. He's doing great, and he plays good. We win, perfect. But if you lose 3 games in a row, then everything is too much. He doesn't have focus on handball. He just do so many things beside handball. He doesn't concentrate in the sport. So then everything what was good before now is negative. So that comes from the surrounding, that never comes from myself. Because to do my sport well, I needed a world beside. So I was never the guy who was all the time just into handball. So that would be boring for me. Also, my best friends never were in handball. So they were always musicians or I don't know, normal people outside of the handball world that you can talk about other things than just handball. So I never liked it just being in the handball bubble and just living in that bubble. So also to have a clear mind playing handball, I needed to do something else. I needed to try something else what had nothing to do with the sport. For me, that was really important also to don't get to don't put that pressure of the game from the fans, from the media, what I felt for when I played handball, to don't get that too much attention. So the real world, the outside world, is much more different, and there are so many people who have no interest about handball, and that equalize a little bit the handling of the pressure. So then you see, okay, that is not the most important thing in the world. There are much more other things outside, and nobody cares about handball, or not nobody, but a lot of people didn't care about handball. So do your sport, do what you like, do whatever you want to do, and be happy. And that was the most important thing. So it was good for me to do some other stuff, but if it went the wrong way, then everybody is criticizing you, of course.
I'm maybe changing it over a little bit, but to Füchse Berlin, and it's no secret that we also, as you said, made a documentary about you, but we also gonna have one about Gitzel, and I want to maybe know, we all know what Gisel have done and what he's capable of doing, and the level he's been performing at is unbelievable. But the better that Füchse Berlin gets, does that also make your job even harder? Because that's also where you have to attract the players, because you have ambitions in Füchse Berlin nationally and internationally. You're now playing the Champions League and also the Bundesliga, and we know how strong and how many matches there is. So, to have a team that can compete in both competitions, and not only bringing in players, but, top class players that can perform in these circumstances in Bundesliga and Champions League?
There are a lot of topics in your question. I will try to answer that. At first, Matthias Gitzel, he is making my job a lot easier. Point. So he having him in the team, it is, I don't know. I tell him also always, he's the Jordan of our sport. He is the game changer. He is driven. He is the best player in the world, and he is an amazing human being. So I have to tell you that. So at first, I try to do my job to see the human being, to see how a guy is. Of course, the handball abilities is in our sport. When we're talking about results, when we're talking about being successful, it's the most important thing. You can be the most amazing man in the world if you cannot play handball. Okay, I cannot sign you. Of course not. So that is the base. So him having in a team is it's making my job easier. But of course, it makes the expectations bigger, because not just the expectations from the fans and from the surroundings, if you're getting step by step more successful, also he has expectations.
Yep.
So he comes to the team and he wants to compete for the titles, and he needs support also to win titles. He expects that also from me, to improve the team, also that he get the chance winning titles. He is that kind of the guy, of a guy. We have a few more guys with a big character, who really improve the team. So when we talk about expectations, you always have to connect that with the economical budget that you have, and everybody of us, I think so, try to do the best out of the economical situation. And of course, there are a few more teams in Europe who have better economical
Yeah.
situations, and who could do more in that way. So we try to put that base, that economical base, what we have together, and pick the best players that we can get, mix them with some academy players. So that is our philosophy, and that is also how we can handle that with the budget that we have, bringing world-class player like Gitze, like Anderson, like Dari, like Marsenic, Milosavljev to the team, and also mix them with academy players, and that works. In our concept, it works. I cannot guarantee you that we win the German championship. I cannot guarantee you that we play every year Champions League, because the competition in the league is so big, but we try. And we try to do the best out of our economical possibilities that we have. And I think we do great with that, what we have. Complain to Barcelona, complain to Veszprém, complain to Plotzk, who's coming up now, Paris, Flensburg, Kiel. I think we do great. And that is what we do, and how we work, and how we try to improve, to find the pieces, because they are just pieces now. The whole team is good, so the construct is stable and good, but small pieces are probably missing, and that is what we try to find at the moment, getting better year by year. And yeah, that is what I expect from myself. That is what the team expect from me. That is also what the coaches are expecting from me. Everybody. So there are expectations, there are pressure, but at the moment we are really happy.
Yeah, and I mean, you took over Füchse Berlin in 2019 after they just actually had their worst outing in 5 years in the Bundesliga. So they finished, I think it was 5th or 6th. Well, ever since you have been continuously getting better and better in the Handball Bundesliga, resulting you guys qualifying for the Machine Secret EHF Champions League finally again. Is the competition as tough as you expected it to be?
Champions League or Bundesliga?
The Champions League.
Of course it is. Even if they say we have the easier group, I mean, still, I don't believe that. So at first, there are no easy games, not in the Bundesliga, not in the Champions League. So the competition is tough. It's of course tougher than the EuroLeague. It is like it is. It is the best league in Europe, the Champions League, and it is also the desire of every player. Doesn't matter if you play in Germany, France, wherever, playing in Champions League, because that's the biggest stage. And yeah, the competition is tough, but we can compete. We can. I think we can win against everybody on good days. So there is no opponent who is not unbeatable, even if they are favorites of the title. I think so. Veszprém, Barcelona, Paris, they look really good, stable. Sporting is a big surprise this year. So yeah, there are tough teams, but if we are healthy, we can compete against everybody and we can win against everybody. So I like the competition of the Champions League. I see also in our arena at home that it is different than the EuroLeague. So more spectators are coming, more fans are following the Champions League. It is the biggest stage in European handball, but we wanted that. It was a big aim of us, and we like it and we enjoy it to play it this year, of course.
I mean, just a quick comment coming back to Matthias Gissel. What impresses me the most, actually, also I agree on you doing a good job in Füchse Berlin, but what impresses me the most is that his shooting percentage from a backcourt player is so high that it is, and he's not shooting any penalties. And every time when I look at the score and I'm like, okay, he made 7-8 goals, how many shots did he actually use for it? And it's never, he never misses more than 3-4 shots, maybe that's the maximum. And his shooting percentage is unbelievable, and being able to perform at a high level in every game, that's super impressive for me, I have to say. And to me, he's also one of the best in the world. But is there a little bit also for you, whenever you play the big tournaments, because you have the Bundesliga, which you said yourself, no easy game, all away games, toughest league in the whole world, and also the Champions League. Therefore, you also have to think about how big of a squad you need to have and not being too exposed to injuries. Is that something you also thought about coming up to this season where you knew that you had to play Champions League?
There are different theories. So, of course, when I see Westbrem and they have 22 players, of course, as a sports director, you would think, okay, that looks good. When you see Bucharest, they have 21 players. I don't know. And some really good players are not even at the bench at the game, so they had to sit in the crowd. It's nice to have, but I think my theory of a successful team is to have the best first 7 that you can have, and then you have to find pieces who support them, who help them, and who fit really good together with them, especially when you have that economical situation that we have. Because a guy like Gitzel, a guy like Lasse Andersson, a guy like Dari Masinic, they want to play always. They don't want to sit on a bench or get rest, something like that. Of course, they ask for help, but when you give them 15 minutes on the bench, they will look to the coach and say, hey, it's enough now. I want to play. So I rested enough. So you have to get a team, especially when injuries come. Then you are in trouble when you have a really small squad. And I know about that we have a small squad and not such a big team like most of the other contenders. But I think finally, it doesn't matter if you play twice a week. For a professional player, it is not a problem. So they want to play. They prefer to play twice a week than to train. So they are made for that. They really want that. If they can play Thursday Champions League and Sunday Bundesliga, they like it. That is also what they wanted and what a professional athlete can do, my opinion. The thing is, okay, find some ways how you travel better. Find some ways how they can recover good, and to give them also stops in the game where they can rest. And I think therefore you need some special pieces. But I would always prefer, if I have a special amount of money, put that in the first squad, in the first 7, bring also pieces to support them, supporting cast, help them, and that's it. Then to have 22 players in the team, because if you have 20 players in the team, then some of the players are annoyed because they never play. So you cannot make them happy. You cannot bring them into the team. That is also a tough task. And I think at the end, finally, a few players will win the championship for you, and then you have a supporting cast who really have to work and deliver, and that is for me the formula to win.
Well, I mean, some might say that we wouldn't even have to look that far away to find the starting 7 that is actually helping Füchse winning titles. Some of the national teammates from Matthias Gitzel, they are wandering around in the Bundesliga. Will we ever see a backcourt of Gitzel and Püttlik in Berlin?
Where do you hear that rumor?
I didn't hear it. I just wanted to ask.
Oh, that would be an amazing backcourt, huh? Right? If that would happen. No, but we live in crazy times. So we really live in crazy times. So I hear so many rumors every week, about all the players, and we live in times where players sign contracts 2.5 years in advance. I don't know what that development is going. So I don't even understand that, but that is the business, and that is the crazy times now. So clubs creating teams, clubs are signing players. So you have upcoming clubs who get more money, like Plots now, for example, the Polish club. So the momentum change often from one club to another, and Veszprém has a huge development now the last week. So I hear so many rumors and so many stories. So, but that backcourt would be amazing if that would come together, Püttlik and Gitzel. It would be spectacular, of course.
Well, I mean, we are getting close to Christmas, right? One can still dream. One can still dream. Martin, you have some more question for Stefan?
Yeah, we've been taking a lot of your time here, Stefan, and thank you for that. But a rumor that I heard that maybe you can confirm or not is that 10 to 15 years ago in Disneyland, I heard about you and your wife were supposed to take a roller coaster. In the meantime, your son and daughter had to wait outside, and they waited and they waited and they waited. Just before you were ready to go on the first row of the roller coaster, you saw the safety instructions. And then you begged your wife saying, please, we cannot go, please. So you had to go past everyone that waited in the line, admitting that you were too afraid to take the roller coaster. How does that mix up with what we've been speaking about, being this strong rebel punk guy?
It's a good story. It's half true. It's half true. So you have to know that I was always afraid of height and flying. So I have fear to fly. Even now, I have to take some medicine that I can fly. So tranquilizers. But I was in Disneyland at that time. That's true. My daughter told you the story. I will call her later on. And but it was not my ex-wife where I went to the roller coaster. It was my daughter I went to, and it was the Bart Simpson. It was the Simpson roller coaster. I will never forget that. And we really passed the line. And then they made a big mistake when we arrived. They had a screen, and at the screen they showed the whole roller coaster. And when I saw that, what I was supposed to do now, then I told her, no, I don't go there. So I see that now, what that is looping and everything, silly stuff like that. So I took her to the emergency exit. She was like 11 years old, something like that. No, she was not that old. She was 8 years old at that time. And I took her to the emergency exit, and she was so embarrassed and so pissed. And it was so, I don't know, what is that word, peinlich? What is that word in English?
Embarrassing.
Peinlich is in German. She was embarrassed. She was so embarrassed because everybody pointed at us. Look at the guy with the tattoos, with that small girl. He's leaving the roller coaster. And yeah, she was mad at me because she liked roller coasters, and I went to the emergency exit and I left.
Of course, I cannot confirm who I heard it from, but this was a rumor that I heard that I just wanted to.
No.
But
there's just one person. No, there's just two persons who know that story. She is 100%.
Now, people will have it as a Christmas gift here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Christmas is the time of forgiving as well. So that might be the chance after 15 years that finally the family Kretzschmar can get back together over a roller coaster ride. That would be something, eh?
No, we don't do that. So I would. Oh, that would never happen. So I'm now at the age of 51. I'm even more afraid of going to a roller coaster like that. So, but she can do that alone now with his brothers. So she's old enough to do that.
All right,
her
fair
brother.
enough. Fair enough. Then let's say thank you here for the early Christmas gift that you gave us with your time here. It was amazing talks with you, Stefan. Great to get to know you a little better here once again. And that's where we wish you all the best for your personal life, the family, and everything that belongs to it, but on the sporty perspective as well. May your hopes and dreams with Füchse Berlin come true this year.
Thank you very much, and everybody have Merry Christmas, guys.
Ball across to Dylan. He double in flight. Oh, what a start.
Into the net.
She does it again.
Van Bengt on the champion.